This is the kryptonite to a narcissist. I think we all know who Superman is, right? And if you have just the smallest amount of knowledge about him, you know his only fear, and that is kryptonite. I completely understand that this video might be starting out a little strange, but I like to use some basic analogies to put things into perspective when discussing narcissism. And I get it, Superman is just a comic book character, but the analogy here seems to work. So let me explain. Believe it or not, narcissists might seem all-powerful once they get you under their spell. It seems as though their strength is overwhelming, like there's nothing you can do to defeat them. But I have some promising news for you. Just like Superman's biggest fear, narcissists also have one main fear, and that fear is the inability to push your buttons any longer. This is the kryptonite to a narcissist. When you harness all your strength and truly understand what they have been doing to you all this time, you can literally destroy them in a matter of minutes. I know it seems like a super simple concept, and it makes complete sense. The problem is it's very difficult to achieve, especially for empaths. It requires all the strength you can muster, but in order for you to heal properly, you must be able to find that strength. Now, I'm not a licensed therapist, and I don't hold any degrees in mental health. All I have are my life experiences, as well as witnessing other people's lives and the struggles they have had with their abusers. The one thing I found that has allowed me to break free of my abusers is learning the ability and finding the strength to control my emotions. By learning to control my emotions, by not reacting negatively to my abusers, I learned that this is the one main thing that scares them to death. So to share a little bit more of my story here, I'll give you an example. One of my abusers is a covert narc, bordering on toxic. They sucked me in years ago, using all the typical tactics. You all know the tactics. They admired my skill set, which really isn't super impressive. They laughed at my stupid jokes, they latched onto my friends, and they began to emulate my life. Then they slowly creeped into the next phase. They started throwing out small criticisms. They made up scenarios that were unrealistic. They started bad-mouthing a few of my friends in an effort to reduce the number of people I associated with. Then those small, innocent lies started to surface. It came down to a point where it was just the two of us in most cases. And before I realized it, I'm hanging around this spiteful, hateful, negative person. They were a splitter. You know the ones that either totally liked somebody or they totally hated them. There was never really an in-between with them. It was all or nothing. So after years of basically soothing their emotions, listening to their rants, trying to make them feel like I understood their points of view, I took a deep look inside myself. Although I never really adopted their way of thinking, I didn't stand up to them. I didn't contradict them. I just let them ramble on and spit out all their disrespect of other people. I started to feel this ugliness growing inside me. After a while, and looking back today, it was way too long of a while, I did some deep soul searching and realized this person was just not good for me. They weren't adding anything positive to my life. Just a terrible fit, in all honesty. So one day, out of the blue, I made the conscious decision to calmly start contradicting them. I found out that 99.9% of the things that they were saying to me were just massively distorted. All the lies they told, all the stories they made up, all the people they talked bad about, the majority of it was all just a bunch of bullshit. I chose to start responding with a positive outlook on everything. For every negative thing they would say, I countered with a positive comment. Once I started doing this, I could tell this was getting under their skin, but I stood strong and kept it up. Instead of them trying to keep me on the bash wagon, degrading other people, I started to become the target. I could easily tell they were getting very frustrated with me because I no longer was the listener, the understanding person I used to be. I transformed into the guy that would call them out on all that bullshit they'd been spewing. And again, I did this in a very calm, collected manner. I just stated the facts. I stopped walking on eggshells around them. I knew that if I showed any true emotion, any sense of truly caring about what they had to say, they would still have a chance to get more supply from me. But I stayed strong. I remained convicted that I was not going to be taken advantage of any longer. And before I realized how my change in attitude affected them, the separation had already begun. I wasn't hearing from them as often. They could tell that whatever supply they sucked out of me, whatever enjoyment they got from getting me on board with their negative thoughts and perspectives, had basically stopped. They ghosted me, and I had a strong sense that I had transformed. I had become their kryptonite. They became afraid to approach me, knowing that whatever they said, whatever they did, would no longer get them the reaction they were hoping for. They knew that I became that guy who would only respond with something positive, and they absolutely despised me for it. I was really gullible back then, and they knew it. They took total advantage of that. And you know what? Shame on me for not being more perceptive. I have taken responsibility for my actions back then. And I'll tell you this, I put up with that shit for years before I felt enough was enough. But you know what? We live and we learn, right? That experience actually changed my life for the better. It made me a stronger, more positive person. I have moved on to some amazing relationships with new friends that share the same positive traits I have. And I'll tell you this, if I ever run across that person again in the future, I think the first thing that comes out of my mouth will be thank you. Thank you for putting me through everything you put me through. It has made me a better person by learning to identify the signs of a narcissist, by mastering my ability to stay calm in uncomfortable situations, and by building my own inner strength to deal with people like you in a more productive way. For all these things, all I can say is thank you. Thank you so much for watching. Now go out there and find that kryptonite, that inner strength, and use it in a positive way to better your life. You've got this. Please subscribe to the channel and leave a comment below. I would love to hear from you. And in the meantime, watch for the signs. Be alert. Be vigilant. Be strong. Be brave. And go live your best life today.